Hello, everyone. This is the Flora Field Part 2, which means if you haven't seen Part 1 or listened to it, please do so this one will make more sense. And then watch this one. In Part 1, just briefly, we talked about the greater potential now of connecting sacred gardens, let's call them that, all over the world to produce the, what do I want to call it? Like the new earth template for plants that are new earth. Will they be developed in this realm? In some cases they will. New plants will come up and botanists will go, I haven't seen that one before. That probably happens already to a very small extent, but it's not really from the new earth template. What is potential now is to create seeds, let's say a seed bed of this new earth flora. And in doing so, we will not only begin to see these plants come into our world on some level, maybe not the full-blown expression of them, what folks would call the I've forgotten the word now, the signature, I guess, yeah, something signature, wish I could remember the whole name. But anyway, it's a signature of the complete plant. Every plant on the planet, every human being, but the human being has many more parts to it that form the signature. A plant's signature is far simpler, but it's just as perfect in design. But there are levels to it. So a lotus, for instance, we have all kinds of different varieties of lotus, and we see them as they are. In this realm, that's the highest level they can be, most likely. There might be some instances where that's not the case. However, with the introduction now of the pyramidus radius matrix and all that has within it, which includes the critical rotational position changes that are coming about, not only for human beings, plants, animals, the whole picture. And so as a plant, you know, in botany, they say, well, the critical rotational position is the way the plant rotates to meet the sun for photosynthesis. And that's one aspect of it. But it's far more complex than that. And then the human being, as Thoth has said, the critical rotational position is the brain on the brainstem. But again, it's far more complex than that because every little molecule is doing the same thing. So all these come together to form the greater system. So with the introduction of these new inputs that I spoke about on the heliotrope, about the heliotrope sheath, maybe a month ago, these new inputs that are coming through into the planet are causing new CRP numerics, like mathematics, whatever you want to call it. You can put them out on a string of numbers or a string of dots and dashes or a string of little short lines and long lines and short lines and long lines. There's different ways that we could print them out, you know, that would conform to that energy pattern. But the point is, energetically, when all of us on the planet, flowers, plants, animals, receive the new light mathematic positionings so that we can react to those impetuses, those new ones, those new triggers. This means that we will start developing our new earth. in a very real way. And that is within the pyramids radius matrix, because remember, the actual, what we're calling ascension, is a greater rush of all of this actually moving us into this new dimension. And that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is the next stage toward that, which is the pyramids radius matrix that we're in now. It's a working system. It's in progress. It's developing these platforms that are new Earth platforms, and yet still within the old Earth, current Earth. So they are betwixt and between, and they are allowing us to have an infusion of new Earth experience and consciousness and literally biochemical assimilation before we actually, make the big leap and go totally new Earth, so to speak. So back to our gardens. The idea is to create templates of energy that allow the gardens that you have, your personal gardens, whether they're in hot houses, or they call it hot houses, greenhouses. The best are in the geodesic domes, of course, but just out in the open, your little patch on the ground, that works too. And what we do is first we develop a modality for that particular, for your garden, your personal garden, or geodesic dome, or greenhouse, so that it has its own signature as a whole. Once that signature is developed, then it can be plugged in to the pyramids matrix, to the pyramids radius matrix, in a way that other gardens are plugged in too. So you have a little FLORA matrix inside the pyramids radius matrix, or FLORA field, as I'm calling it. And this one can be developed then as a whole. And what one receives, the other is going to receive. So for instance, let's say you have already developed all of this and you have your garden in its signature, and that signature has been connected to the greater field. This means that somebody that's part of this project, because they really have to be consciously part of this project. We can look at the whole planet and other things that's going on, but we're talking about this particular project. So let's say somebody in Canada somewhere, way up in an alpine field, has this garden. I say alpine, some beautiful, special, sacred site place, and it's got this little garden there. Well, heck, we could take Crestone, Colorado, because this is the Ascension Temple of the crown chakra of the Ascension Temple. And this whole area is just extremely vital with energy of the new Earth. Yes, it's still in the old Earth paradigm, and a lot of things going on in Crestone that aren't perfect, just like any place else in the world. But the energy of this place is pristine. It's ready to just bloom, because it is right there at the crown chakra. We have the sacred on and all of the things that are going on here. So you could choose this place, or you could go back over to Kauai and the other islands in Hawaii. I mean, that's the base chakra of the Ascension Temple, and there's the beginning of the fertile ground. That's where things are being developed in another way. So, but let's choose Crestone for a moment, just as as a symbol of all of this. Analogy, that's my word. So someone doing a garden here in Crestone, and we already have a couple that have a geodesic dome here, and I've already spoken to them about all of this, and they're very open to it. So let's say they start really plugging theirs in, and they've got their signature, and it goes into the whole picture, okay? So they're in the field, and you're in the field. Maybe you're in New York City, and you've got this little little patch of garden somewhere, in your backyard, but there's everybody is around it. You've got traffic, you've got the whole New York energy of the people and blah, blah, blah. But you got your little garden. It's there in the backyard and you've plugged it in. Well, your little garden is going to start receiving from this geodesic dome over here at the foot of the crown chakra of the ascension tone. And you're also going to be receiving from the one, let's say, in Kauai or the Big Island, right next to the sacred sites, or the Mauna Loa, the pristine mountain there, or over in Kauai next to Waialeale, and you've got all those energies you're bringing in to your little garden in New York City, in your little backyard with all the smokestacks around it and all the stuff going on. But your little garden is receiving from those other places. Now, everything that's the higher vibration is what's being plugged in. In other words, the little gardens that may be struggling with their environments, their struggle is not being plugged in. So in other words, Crestone is not going to be receiving the pollution that's, circling around your little garden. It's only going to be receiving the higher energies of that little garden. And that little garden may well have some higher energies that it can contribute. But you see what I mean? Everything is contributing to each other in the highest vibration that it has to offer, not the lowest, because it's a frequency thing. Everything vibrates to the highest frequency of the whole. So what do we do first? First, you develop your own signature for the garden. We're going to talk about how to do that in a minute. Once that's done, then you're shown how to link it into the greater garden, the greater flora field. Then you need to water your garden. That is, not just with water and sunshine, but with love, with attention, and a specific prayer. The prayer is something you're going to write, and you write it down. You don't want it to be long. It should take just a few, like 30 seconds to say at the longest. But you write it down with great intention. And that prayer is a message to your garden of love, of goodwill, of highest intention. What do you wish this little garden to be? You put it in your own words, maybe be with it for a while. You might want to change some words, come back, and just keep working with it. And heck, once you're saying this to your little garden, well, you might find a month or two later you still want to make some changes, and that's okay. It's not set in stone. But you do want to read the same prayer every time. And if you change it once in a while, that's okay, because you're developing something. But you don't want a different prayer every day, is what I'm saying. You want something that embeds. But it needs to be done every day. You need to stand with your garden. If it's out in the rain, well, maybe you can't if it's been raining all day. But if you have a few minutes, you can run out there before, well, maybe even an umbrella, under an umbrella. It's hard to say. Under an umbrella. Just say your little prayer right there, standing with the garden, playing. Okay, that's the prayer. Now the garden itself needs some crystals embedded in the soil. Not a lot, but little crystals here and there. And if you have Indara, or you're willing to get some Indara, I know it's expensive, to add to it, maybe 1 or 2, 3 little pieces of Indara, including in the other crystals. I would say you could put, depending upon the size of your garden, of course, but you can put as many crystals in it as you want. I would say at least have 5 or 6. And of those 5 or 6, it would be nice if you had at least 2 Indara, of the lot. And if you have a bigger garden, put more, of everything. And where you place the crystals in the garden, again, is up to you. Take some time with it. Be there, think, okay, where does this crystal want to go? Where is this crystal? And you don't have to dig a very deep hole. You just a little bit, but enough that it's not going to wash the rain or whatever. It's not going to wash the crystal out. Now, if you want to put some bigger crystals in your garden, you can do that as well. And those you don't have to bury because they're not going to wash out so easily. If they're big enough, you just stick them down. You can stick up in the garden, and you can see them. But I'm talking about little tiny crystals. You need to bury them deep enough that they won't wash away. The bigger ones, you can just sort of, dig a little bit and just place it enough in there that it's solid, and the rest of the crystal can stand up and embrace the light. And that would be really nice to have some larger ones in the garden because they're receiving the sun and the rain and piezoelectric effect directly on that crystal, and then it's moving down into the little crystals and it's moving into the whole garden. So that would really be good. So I took some moments to go to Thoth to ask him how to develop your own personal doctrine of signature or signature for your garden. And he said, first, doing what I just said is the main first steps, placing the crystals, little seed crystals, as well as larger ones, at least one, 2 or 3 would be nice, that stick up out of the garden. If some of your crystals, even if they're just little seed crystals, can be in dar, that would be good, but it's not absolutely necessary. Developing your prayer and saying this prayer. And after you've done this for about a week, you want to say, okay, I am ready. My garden is ready to receive its signature as a whole. Actually, it's already working to do that. It's not like you snap your fingers and it happens. But when you say that you and your garden are ready to receive it, this puts the seal on it. This says, yes, I recognize that my garden has its own unique signature. And that signature is part of me, I'm speaking for you here, because you, put myself into this field with the garden. I am growing my FLORA self in this very garden. Remember in the FLORA field how I spoke about how human beings were once very plant-like in the lotus reality before we descended into this realm. And that means we're very related to plants and trees. Trees are plants, but the whole spectrum of plants. So plants respond to us very, very quickly because they recognize us as the highest plant on their totem pole, so to speak. So you've done all these things for about a week, and then you make your statement. So Thoth is indicating to me that there needs to be something that brings all of the FLORA fields together in one field within the pyramid's radius matrix. I mean, it's the intention of everyone is the huge part, but let's say we start with like 5 gardens all over the world. There needs to be something that's the same that they all work with or have connected, some token. So I'm going to create a template under Thoth's guidance, and this template is the connective part. In other words, everybody that's in this project of the FLORA field would have this template, and they need to they don't need to put it in their garden. They just need to print it out. They can laminate it if they want to, but it doesn't need to go in the garden. It can be in your home, on your altar, presuming that your garden is next to your home. You know, you're talking about a close proximity here. It needs to be there with you, close to the garden, but in your home where you see it every day and you can connect to it every day. So I will do that. I will create this template, and this will be available to everyone freely that is watching this video series, which is also free viewing, because Thoth wishes me to share it with everyone because he feels it's important and it needs to get out there. Now, I can't, organize and get out there and try to find people that want to do this and all of this. You know, the same thing with the Elixis Mundi. People that want to do these things, they have to step up to the table and say, I want to do it. Okay, count me in. And then they need to do it. As like with the Elixis Mundi, people need to say, okay, I'm going here. I'm going to anchor one of these, the area packs here. I'm going to do it there and report in and tell me they've done it, where they've done it. And then I can report that out. Right now, that project is pretty much languishing. I mean, a few people did it once or twice, and that was it, So I'm not a one-man band on these things. In fact, I'm not any band at all. I'm just a little trumpet. So if you want the Elixis Mundi to survive and do what it's supposed to do, then you need to do it and report back to me and let me know where you did it, the circumstances. And not a long report, just something. I went here, I did this. And a few people have done that. Well, with the FLORA field, it's not quite as much legwork. You have your garden right there. You already probably have a garden, I'm presuming. That's what this is all about for you. And you're transforming it into part of the FLORA field. And I need to know that. I need to know that you have done this and where you are, and something that allows me to connect to you in that way and keep track of all of these different places, because other things might develop from that. It probably will. But, we need to have at least, Thoth is saying, to really create a true field and not just one garden with its signature, which is still nice, but it's not the total project. We need to have at least 5 gardens around the world. So I'm asking those of you who are interested in this for your own gardens to really fully participate and let me know who you are, where you are, and a little bit about your garden, whether it's just a little patch in the ground, whether it's I want to call it a hothouse. I cannot seem to call it anything else. Or a geodesic dome, greenhouse, that's the word. So that's the plan. I will be creating this logo, and I won't put this video out until I have the logo. So you'll have it together with that. It will be embedded on the same page as this video. And we'll take it from there. We'll see what else develops. If there's any more I need to share with you on this, which there probably will be, I will do so. And so until next time, I bid you farewell from my beautiful garden realm in Spirit Heart Sanctuary that you see around me here, and from my real life garden realm here in Crestone, Colorado.